You had your own journey with health and wellness and weight loss. And what was the pivotal point when you said, I'm going to do this now?
I was probably 39 and I had gone to my cardiologist who said that I had high blood pressure. And I remember him saying to me, I'm not going to let you die from heart disease, was what he said to me. I think the part of me that was so resistant to losing weight because I knew it's what she wanted. I knew she wanted so badly for me to be thin. And I couldn't do it until she died. And then I did.
Welcome to Wham Bam Thank You, Pam. I'm your host, Pam Gaslow, writer, former stand-up comedian, and mastermind behind the 50-year plan to success. I also learned the hard way that you don't bring your vibrator to rehab, and wrote a book about it. Here we have bold, unfiltered conversations about sex, relationships, personal lives, and pop culture with a sharp, sexy, and comedic edge. Wham Bam Thank You, Pam is the wildly entertaining, no-holds-barred discussion you didn't know you needed. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wham Bam Thank You, Pam. I'm Pam Gaslow. Today's guest has many talents and even more achievements. She's a mom, a lawyer, a podcaster, radio and television host, author, entrepreneur, and influencer.
Wow.
She calls herself an expert connector. Welcome, Jenny Hutt.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
And our mutual friend, Haley Simon, sends her love. I just texted her.
I love Haley. We
Yeah, me
went
too.
to camp together and a teen tour.
Yep.
So hold on one second. The dog's eating a bone.
Doesn't matter. I have to tell you, Pam, I think of you as, even though I haven't talked to you in 25 years or something,
Yes.
I remember living in the same building, and we lived in a building on 66th Street and 2nd Avenue in New York City. And that was my favorite building I think I've ever lived in. Let me start with that. And I loved everything about it. The vibe of it was ridiculous. It was like a cocaine den.
I was just going to say.
It should have been the 80s, but it wasn't. I never did cocaine in my life, but that was like the feel of the building. And it was these big black windows that went floor to ceiling. And it was just, I don't know, it's something magical about that place and ridiculous. And you used to walk around. And back then it was okay to objectify women, and you had the cutest body. You still do. But like, I just remember you were the teeniest, tiniest thing with these big boobs. And again, back then we could talk like that with your little dog, and you were always nice.
No,
that's about it. Like, you were just
you.
a nice girl. You were a lovely neighbor to have.
I feel the same way about you. I only had good thoughts about you. And I know we weren't like good friends, but I remember being in your apartment. I remember your dog. And it's so funny when you just said it was like a cocaine building. I think I got sober when I was living there.
Makes sense.
And I never did cocaine either.
I think most people, like, well, no, not most people. A lot of people have done cocaine, but I don't think it was as common as we think it was among like our demographic, maybe. Although there were the handful of people that I knew really well that did it. So I don't really know. I could be talking on my butt.
It's just funny. I literally,
as I wipe my nose as though I'm on cocaine.
Right, literally 3 days ago, I'm sober. I think you know that. I went to an AA meeting here.
It's amazing.
Thank you. I'm in Colorado, and there was only one guy that showed up at this meeting. Okay. So it was me and this guy talking for like 45 minutes. And he's like, so what's your story? And he's like, oh, I just assumed that you did coke because you're thin and like you look like you would do coke. And I'm like, that's so crazy. People thought that.
That's
like
so
people assumed I was a coke addict. I'm like, why? Because I'm thin, or
I never thought that. You know, I thought,
like, yeah, I never did coke ever. I swear on my life, I have no reason to lie.
So I never thought that about you. I actually thought that you were one of, and you know, I've learned a lot since then about bodies and stuff, but that was in the thick of kind of my own, you know, body. Hell, my mother made me crazy about my body. I was always struggling with my weight, and you had the kind of body that looked effortless. I mean, I know now that, yes, some people are genetically wired to be super thin, and that's just how you're born, and that's just who you are, and who really gives a fuck? Like, none of it matters. But at the time, I just remember thinking, like, that's so lucky that you can be made that way and not have to worry about it at all. I now believe most people, even when they're thin, they think or they don't eat a lot. There are reasons that people are as the sizes that they are. But I never thought cocaine. I thought wiring.
Thank you.
I thought that's just sort of who you were.
I think you also knew me. I think the people that said that about me didn't know me.
Right. No, I knew you. It wasn't I just never, you didn't read drug addict.
Right. It's an interesting discussion also because I was also joking with my friend the other day how growing up in a privileged neighborhood that people like assumed I was anorexic. I'm like, you can just actually be skinny.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't
Some
because
people are.
right,
Some
you
people
don't
are.
have to be negative about someone because they're thin. And the other thing is like, yes, genetics, I'm very lucky. But you know, when people think like, oh, if I just looked like you, like I have other problems.
Right. Of
It's
course.
like
Everyone
that's
does.
my, you know, you have your set, I have my set, whatever you look like, whatever. It's just, you know, everyone has something. It's not like
Yes.
when people are like, oh, if I just looked like that, if I just had that, it's fucking nonsense. We all know
Well, you
that.
learn that as you
Yeah,
get older,
I
you
was just
learn
going to
that
say, yes.
your weight does not, unfortunately, make the, I mean, or fortunately, I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, I'm much happier being at a lower weight than I was at a higher weight. And that's my own story. And that's for a myriad of reasons, mostly health. But it certainly does not take away your stuff. It does not
No.
diminish your problems. For some of us, it can create more. And so, yeah, it's not so simple. None of
Well,
it's simple.
I did want to talk about that, but since we're going there now, you
Whatever
had
you,
your own journey with health and wellness and weight loss. And what was the pivotal point when you said, I'm going to do this now? Like, I'm sick of, you know, living
yeah.
this way or whatever.
Um, I don't know how conscious the decision was in terms of like that moment, except that there was a bunch of events that had happened. I was probably 38 and a half, 39, and I had gone to my cardiologist who said that I had high blood pressure. He put a Holter monitor on me and I had to wear it for 24 hours. And I had crazy high blood pressure. And I'd always thought that my cholesterol was my vulnerability because since I was 14, I'd had high cholesterol and that was genetic. But that was what I thought was the big issue. And he was far more concerned about blood pressure at 38.
Wow.
I think, or 39, it was something like 110, no, 165 over 110 was one of the readings. And I was obviously just put on medicine at the time because the stroke risk wasn't so high at that age, but they had to get it under control pretty quickly. And I remember him saying to me, I'm not going to let you die from heart disease, was what he said to me. And I was like, oh, okay. Like that was the first thing in my mind that somehow, some way I could, if I could figure this out, then maybe I wouldn't die from heart disease. That was in the back of my head. At the same time, I was mourning the loss of my mom. My mom passed away in 2008 and when she had pancreatic cancer. And a couple things happened with that. One, I started reading about pancreatic cancer and the role that fat plays in that cancer. It can make you more susceptible. Look, it doesn't mean you're going to, if you're overweight, it doesn't mean that you're going to have cancer, but cancer does tend to love fat and pancreatic cancer loves fat. Now, my mother surprisingly was very thin, but I was like, well, she was thin and still got cancer, then it's even worse for me if I'm fat, like then I could get it. Like that started impacting me. And then I think probably the biggest thing was that my mother had always made me so crazy about my body. And I know it's generational. I know it's being a girl in the 80s and being born in 1970. I don't, at this point, I understand that my mother didn't know any better. So, like, she was trying to save me pain in life by making me feel all kinds of things about my body because she just thought the world would be unkind. But it was really her issue that she kind of foisted onto me. And it was rough. It was very rough in every other way. She was an unbelievable, incredible, warm, loving, phenomenal, amazing mom. But with my body, she was really abusive, which I know is not an uncommon story.
Mm-hmm.
And after she died, I think the part of me that was so resistant to losing weight because I knew it's what she wanted. I knew she wanted so badly for me to be thin. And I couldn't do it until she died. And then I did. So I think it's sort of all of that and taking control of my own life.
It's really interesting how things happen and what pushes you to make a change. And I was talking to a friend the other day, a really good friend of mine who, you know, she's kind of just struggling in every way. And I said, you need to exercise, like you need to take a walk. And she said, I know, you're right. And she's, you know, was overweight and on and off throughout her life. And she said, I rebelled because everyone always told me you should work out, you should exercise.
Yep.
So I understand that.
Yeah. So I lost weight in 2009 to 2010. And I maintained that weight loss. And then I lost more. We can get into that when my life fell apart a couple of years ago. I'm doing much better now, but I stopped eating then. And now, around 6 months ago, I went on Manjaro because I want to maintain my weight for the rest of my life. And I will always have to work hard. I always have to exercise. I always have to do the things I have to do because I have to be mobile. And also I exercise for brain health more than anything else. But I know that menopause might kick my ass and I'm not there yet, but I feel the hunger thing has changed. And so I want all the help I could get. But anyway.
Don't project
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in menopause.
Yeah. And how are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
I mean,
That's great.
I'm like, if this is the worst, okay, I'm doing great. And I
yeah.
think I started like 52 and my mom didn't go through until 58.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I
That's where
really
I am.
didn't have any issues.
Yeah.
And I remember I'm like worrying about it. And
yeah, it's nice that your mother went through it. My mom didn't. My mom had a prophylactic hysterectomy at 50. I don't even understand anymore. I think she was
why?
trying to prevent cancer. Great.
Um,
Then she didn't get it in her ovaries. She got it in her pancreas. But I have to say the exercise part. I'm just like your friend. Like I used to hate exercise so much. It was a grind. It was hell. I did it because I was told I had to. It was punishment, and I didn't want it. It just made me so mad. I would cry on the treadmill. I had such a hate relationship with working out until fall of 2019. I started paying attention to exercise and mental state. And everything I read said, if you move your body just a little bit, your brain's going to feel a whole lot better.
right.
And I was like, really? Is that real? And so, because I have normal Jewish girl anxiety, neuroticism, whatever, I have neurotic tendencies. And I was like, okay, I never had depression, just kind of like moodiness, like normal moody stuff, but enough that I didn't like it. So I was like, okay, I just have to move my body and start with 5 or 10 minutes every day just to see if it impacts my brain health. And I started to do that. And my rule was it didn't matter what I did. I just had to move. It didn't matter if I sweat, didn't matter if I touched a weight, didn't matter if I ran, I walked, I danced, I went on a bike. None of it mattered. I just had to move my body for a little bit every day. And I started to do that. And my body started to crave it. And my brain felt a difference. And it was the first time in my life I didn't equate exercise with weight. And it changed my whole being, outlook, impact of exercise on my body. And I became addicted to the feeling that exercise gives you. And I love it now. Now, are there days I'm like, oh, I'm so annoyed I have to do this? Yes. But I know that my brain's going to feel better. And it became life-changing. It's no longer punishment for me. It's just,
100%.
it's like a gift that I can move my body. I also think that's another thing as we age, that like, it's a gift to be able to move our bodies.
I say that all the time. I'm like, be grateful that you can walk, that you can go to the gym, because one day you might not be able to. Then you're really
upset.
going to be fucked up. Because I mean, I had a couple of surgeries. I had an ovary removed a few years ago, and it was the first time that I couldn't take care of myself. And it was so scary. Your core is fucked up, and I couldn't sit up in bed.
It's a terrible feeling.
So yeah, I was just like, wow, not being self-sufficient, it's really scary. But to your point, I mean, I grew up with depression and people always told me to exercise. And I was like, go fuck yourself. Like,
of course.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't even like get up, So
I think the thing about depression is it's so difficult sometimes to treat, to manage, to deal with. And it's so powerful that it tricks your brain into thinking you don't want to do the things that might better you. Like, it's not your fault that you were resistant to exercise, being told that would make you feel better, because the very point of the depression is to tell you to stay in your bed. It's like it's illness.
Right.
And
I was
so
like, if I could get up and do
I would get up.
Right.
Of course. And there's like a weird leap of faith. I think one has to get to the point where they're even able to take that leap of faith and say, okay, I'll give it a try. It's really complicated.
Yeah. And then when you actually get to that place and you, like you said, like, you're like, wow, okay, I understand what people have been talking about for the last
it was shocking.
15 years.
Shocking. I was actually, for about a year, and it was right before the pandemic. So right after that pandemic happened, and I was knee deep in the need to work out every day. And I was doing 10,000 steps a day. And I still do get 10,000 steps a day, knowing it's an arbitrary number and it's kind of silly. But for my mental state, it's really good. So
wish
it's
I
like
lived near you. We could take walks. I walk 5 miles every day too.
I
Like,
love walking
yeah,
5 miles every day. I need it. It's just what I need to do. And I
it's
lift weights a
something
couple days a week. But again, it's what I need to do. It's like survival for me. I look at everything as survival. I like stacking the cards in my favor. That's
I
it.
can't even sleep if I don't do something. I
Right.
literally am
Same.
anxious. I can't
Same.
sleep.
Right. Your
Um,
body needs it, but it
yeah.
takes time to get to that point. How did you end up getting into exercise? How did
I
you realize
have
it would
no
help you?
idea. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I remember my sister-in-law who connected us, coordinated
Tracy.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. She's into wellness and health and all
she's
that.
so into it. I remember for my birthday one year, she got me training sessions, and I didn't even want to work out. I'm like, oh, she's pushing me. And then the first session I went, and the guys like made me run upstairs, and I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back. And I like gave him back to her. I was like, this is so
You
long
know what's so
ago.
interesting about that? That I would think that like a thin person wouldn't have as much as of a strong reaction as someone who is heavy, like that, almost like because it was so sort of convoluted for me. Like exercise meant I was fat. If I didn't want to exercise, that meant I was lazy, and I was lazy, and everyone knew that because I was fat. Now I've never been lazy a day in my life. That's not my wiring. I'm the opposite of lazy. I'm crazy, and
I'm
for
crazy and
real,
lazy.
yeah. And so but in my mind's eye, it's like, oh, if I were thin and someone was telling me to work out,
Well, that was
I
part
would
of
be
it. I
like,
was
I don't
like,
have to. I'm fine.
that's what I thought.
Ah,
Especially when I was younger. I'm like, why would I
yeah,
work out? Like for what?
yeah,
And like it's just a different mindset,
yeah.
just like, but now it's totally different. And even like the other day, my friend called and I'm like, oh, I'm on a hike. She's like, what are you trying to stay skinny? I'm like, no, this is for my mind.
Of course,
Like you
yeah.
don't get skinny from going on a hike anyway.
You do not. Well, that's the other myth. That's the other, like, everyone needs to realize, like, exercise is, you need to realize it's for your brain health more than
Mhm.
anything. Yes, you want to be able to get up and down and get up if you fall on the floor and be self-sufficient. So
Right.
yes, it's functionally, we should move our bodies, but it does not cause you to lose weight unless you're like a real crazy marathoner slash triathlete. But even then, you better not be eating excess calories, because
Right.
the only way people don't
It's
gain, it's
diet.
calories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's diet.
Yeah.
So, well, now that we've talked about that, so so you've been really open about all this, the wellness and the weight loss journey. I love that you're honest and people relate. And I feel like I try to be that way too, because we have to be real, and being sober, like I just have to share my experience. Not that I have to share everything with people, but we all suffer silently a lot. And I think that when you bring things to light, people feel less alone. They're like, oh, she's like that too. Oh, I never thought that. Oh, she struggles with that, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what I try to achieve, I guess. And
I think sobriety is a really important thing to share, because I think there are many people silently struggling with addiction, and the community aspect of sobriety, I feel like, is super important. I've always been on the sort of other side of that. I never liked alcohol, and I never liked recreational drugs. Like none of it agreed with me. So I tried to like pot and I hated it. I tried alcohol and I hated it. So
mm,
I was always a teetotaler in a world where everyone around me was drunk or high. And that, and I wasn't, and it was just, I didn't like it. So I almost didn't understand how difficult the idea of sobriety would be, because it was so easy for me to not have it. I
mhm.
mean, but it's never been easy for me to not have candy or whatever. So I should have a little bit of understanding.
Right.
But
It is, it's
I
like,
have,
it's called
yeah,
kind of the same. It's like sex,
definitely,
gambling,
yeah,
food.
all the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But seeing people get sober, like you and other people in my life, it's really an extraordinarily powerful thing to watch, because it's a choice to live your life in a different way that's going to take work a day at a time for the rest of your life. And that's really cool. Like
Yeah.
that's, I think, such a hopeful thing. And I think the community aspect of it is beautiful, that there is this group of people walking the earth who are all trying to sort of live life in a very truthful way.
It
So
is. It was life-saving
yeah.
because, addiction is a disease of isolation.
Oh yeah.
And when you think you're the only one going through this and I'm so fucked up and no one knows how I feel and no one understands me, they say alcoholics think they're terminally unique,
Mm.
and then you go into an AA meeting and you realize you're not.
Isn't that
You're
incredible
just
when you
like,
realize that?
yeah, you're just like, oh, I'm just like everyone else here.
Yeah.
And like I said, we suffer silently and we struggle, and it's an amazing gift to have that. And
You're how many years now?
well, I just did a solo podcast talking about it. So I thought I had 30 years without drinking this last month, but it was actually 29. I don't know how I missed a year.
It's okay.
So, but I did, that's without alcohol. But I
That's
relapsed a few
amazing.
times, and now I have 6 years completely sober.
That's
But
incredible.
out of the 29 years I've been sober, I have no idea. Most of them.
Yeah, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you.
that's incredible.
It's hard sometimes, but the
Hmm.
alternative is sounds really bad.
Hmm.
So it is not sounds, it is. And especially
Hmm.
as you get older, it's not a pretty existence. It's the opposite of living at peace, you know? That's just truly,
That's what I've heard.
that's the most important thing to me. One of them is being healthy and being mentally at peace. And when you're chasing a high all day, every day, it's, you're not at peace and
Right.
you're not living.
Right.
So part of your wellness health journey, you've also shared about having a facelift recently, and not a lot of people talk about that. So what made you want to talk about that publicly?
So I knew when I was deciding whether I was doing it or who was going to do it, like which doctor, I knew I was going to end up talking about it because I don't think anybody has to share what they don't want to share. I think we get to pick and choose how much of ourselves we put out there. And my rule of thumb has always been that I listen to my gut and I also only share my stories. I don't tell anybody else's. So while it's no secret that I'm separated after a very long marriage, I don't get into the sort of nitty gritty of it because that's my husband's story, my kid's story, not just mine. So, from my perspective in my life, I share the things that happen to me and how they impact me. And after going through just an impossible few years between losing my father, losing my job, rebranding my media personality, starting a podcast after being on air for 17 and a half years, going back to practicing law. I have my funny eyes, my eyeglass business.
You
But I
just summed
experienced
up all the notes I have on you.
I know. I experienced, though, a tremendous amount of loss in a very short
I'm so
time and
sorry.
had to, knew I was going to have to move. This was before my marriage imploded. I knew that we were selling our house. It wasn't because of our marriage that we sold our house. There were a lot of things that happened really like boom, boom, boom within a 15-month time frame. And that all went down. And then I moved. Then my daughter had an insane health crisis
I saw
and she's
that.
okay, poo, poo, poo. But all of that just started showing on my face. And I had worked so hard on this body and this mental state. And even my whole life, I had grown up with people saying, oh, you have such a pretty face, butt. And the butt was always that I was fat. And it was like, that's mean, but okay. And I never really gave much stock or importance in the value of my face card, as the kids call it today. But when it was gone because of all the trauma and all the difficulty that I went through, and my face really fell. I didn't look like me anymore.
Mm.
I looked old and weathered and sad. And even if I were having a good day, I still looked old and weathered and sad. And also I really felt like I lost my pretty face. And I didn't know how much that mattered to me until it was gone.
Right.
And that sounds incredibly shallow,
It's
but
not.
it's
Everyone
just
goes
what it
through
was.
this.
And I went through all the dermatologists and all the doctors, and every single one of them said to me, the only way you're going to be able to deal with your neck is surgery. The only way you're going to deal with your jaw is surgery. There's no lotion, there's no potion, there's no laser, there's no filler, there's no Botox. You need a facelift. And I'm 55 years old and you need a facelift. And so I really, as I've said already before on my podcast and wherever, it wasn't something that was affordable, but I took savings. I was like, fuck it. I believe in myself to know I'm going to make this money back. I work really hard. And I know I need to do it to have the future that I want to have. I need to feel good. And I didn't want to gaslight people into thinking that I did use some sort of new serum because that's to me that's cruel. And again, not that someone else has to disclose, they don't, but for the relationship that I have with people in my real life and people who have known me online either through the radio or through influencing or whatever, that was something I felt like I needed. I wanted to share and I needed to share because I didn't want anyone to think that all of a sudden I looked 10 years younger or tighter, or my skin was an entirely different complexion, or I no longer had a double chin or like a neck that hanged or hung or whatever because I tried a serum. So
Okay.
I, you
Yeah.
know,
We're the same age.
mhm.
So even your long explanation about why you wanted it, it's just like, we're looking old. That's it. We don't look the
Also
same.
that I did,
Let's
but it was,
feel like,
I was struggling about it though, because I really was like, I can't believe that I'm going to do this, that this is me. I railed against that my whole life with my mother, who
because
was
you
so
were
aesthetically
younger,
driven.
because you were
Yeah.
younger. And it's like,
Right.
you can't say what you're going to do until
Nope.
you're in that position. In so
Correct.
many circumstances in life, you're like, oh, I can't
Yes.
believe that person did that. Like, you haven't been in that position. You don't know what you would
Correct.
do.
Totally.
And I'm going to be honest, I did it too.
You look beautiful.
Thank you. I did it a year and a half ago.
Gorgeous. I was actually looking at you saying like, you look so good. And I didn't know. So
Thank
yeah.
you. But the thing is, I think, listen, now we're in the age of social media. So,
Mhm.
20 years ago, you didn't see everybody like you do now.
Mhm.
And there wasn't filters and it's such a different,
Isn't it life changing though?
it's life changing. And I wasn't going to talk about it. And, who cares? Like, I feel like at a certain age, if somebody
Yeah.
looks too good for their age, they had a facelift. That's it.
Yeah. Also, like, there are people who are like, "Oh, you didn't need it," and then I post
People
videos,
told
and
me that too. And
I'm like, watch this video, and you tell
I
me I
saw the
didn't fucking
video.
need it.
Yeah.
I needed it, and that's Haley, our mutual friend. We were at dinner one night, and I was sitting with my girls, like I have a group of girls, and we were talking about facelifts because that is the conversation at this
Yep.
age. It's like
Yes.
you talk about cancer and facelifts. It's really upsetting, but true,
I
and everyone dying. Like
Right.
my parents are dead, so like I'm ahead of the curve. Yay me! But we were sitting at this table and everyone's like, no, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. And Haley looks at me and she's like, honestly, with her accent, I wouldn't tell you, you don't need it.
That's
And
funny.
I'm like, exactly.
I had one guy friend I told, and he's like, good.
Right.
And
That's a real
of
friend.
course, everyone else was like the same thing. You don't need it. You look so young. I'm like, I don't care what people say. I'm not doing it for you.
I'm like obsessed with my skincare
It
routine.
looks
Now
so good. I've
it's
seen
so
your
great. So
TikToks. I'm like,
happy.
wow, you should be so happy.
Yeah, I'm having the
And
best
were
time.
you scared? I was like absolutely terrified. Like,
I was scared, but really didn't focus on it until the morning of. And the morning of, I was like, oh my God, am I really doing this? Like in my head, I was like, oh, this is like the movie Face Off. Like they're going to take my face off and put it back on.
when you
And
start thinking about it, that's when you like want to throw up.
it's creepy. It's
Yeah,
very creepy. But I was mostly afraid of the recovery and how I would sleep on my back.
terrible.
And because I'm a side sleeper, but it
Yeah.
was all fine. And I didn't have any pain. It was fine.
Yeah. I
I
think
took
it was
Tylenol.
uncomfortable and it was just like kind of gross and creepy to me, but
Yes, it was
like I couldn't
gross.
wash my hair. I was afraid to touch my
I could a day later, I was allowed to wash my hair.
and you were like fine with it?
Yeah.
My friend
As
had
long
to
as the
come over
doctor
and
said it was
wash my
fine.
hair for me. Like I
As
was
long
such
as,
a
well, no, I
pussy.
had a nurse. I had a nurse the
Okay.
first 48 hours. So
Yeah.
after 24 hours, she washed my hair with me the first time. Then by 2 days, I was home and then I was washing my hair because I was told the doctor said it was fine.
Yes. I remember
Yeah.
going out totally black and blue and like
Oh, yeah. Me
not
too.
caring. And my friend
Didn't
was like,
care.
these people are staring at you. I'm like, I don't really
Didn't care.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. I went to a wedding. I still had like the neck bruises and because it all like comes down, whatever. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'm fine.
Oh my God. It's so
Yeah.
crazy. So I
Hmm.
remember when we met back in the solo building, and I don't know what year that was. It was probably like 95,
It was
90.
like 93, 94, 95 because I
Okay.
moved out of it in 96
Okay. And I got
or
sober in
97.
96. So,
Yeah.
and I lived there 10 years. So I remember you saying, I know, what was I doing there for so long? I remember you saying that you wanted to be an actress, but your parents said you had to go to law school
True
first.
story. That's true. And then I didn't want to be an actress anymore.
That's what I wanted
Um,
to ask you because it's so, and I've
yeah.
interviewed other people, like all Jewish people that want to be comedians, actors. Their parents like, go do this first and have a real job and get a real career.
Hmm.
So you went to law school, obviously we know
I
that.
did.
And did you want to go at the time, or were you?
No. And I was like, I didn't know what else I wanted to do. And I really wasn't the right fit for being an actress, even though it was what I said I wanted to do. I don't think I was craving the craft or the art of acting. I think I was craving connection.
Mm.
And I thought that the way that I would connect with people was through entertainment of some sort, because I was always entertaining. I was always the funny one in class. I was always the one who talked a lot. And I always got along really well with groups of people. I wasn't great at blending. And I always felt a little bit other. So I felt like I needed to somehow have something about me that was special in order to foster connection, because I never really felt like I belonged. So I think that that's where the feeling of I want to be an actress came in.
Mm.
And also I would do musical theater as a kid. So I would sing, and I was a good singer. And like that doesn't ever, there's so many good singers. It's not really that impressive or important. And my voice was always something that I led with, and always knew that I had good just voice, speaking, whatever, that was always easy for me. And I think there was a part of that, of knowing that if I used my voice, I could even do voiceover and not have to be seen. And there was that kind of dynamic. And then I really believe that there was this part of me that thought I would only be lovable if people knew my name, and which is absurd, especially in today's culture, just the opposite message and opposite of what's true. But at the time I did think like, oh, if you're famous, people will love you. And then I met my husband.
By the way, I want to
And
interrupt you. Now, if you're famous, people like hate you.
correct. It's so stupid. It's like
They
it's
tear
not what
you
you want.
down. They're
It's not
like
what you want.
not happy for you.
So I think what happened is that when I met my husband, I was so relieved that I found love. And I was
I
so
remember when you met him. That was like right when you met
yeah,
moved
and
out.
we had a beautiful love story, and it was a really beautiful sort of meet cute and beginning of a family that I never really thought I would have. I didn't know that I was going to have that. And I have a really maybe a different kind of view on relationships and marriages that last or don't last or whatever, who knows. But we were married for 27 years. And I mean, we're still married. So if you technically we're still married, and it's like, I don't know, 29 years or something, but, or 28 years, I've lost track. But it was really a successful marriage for a good long time until there were issues. And we have two beautiful children. And when we initially were together and then we were getting married, the idea of acting and having anybody know my name at that point was terrifying. And I thought, I don't want that anymore. I wanted to protect my bubble. I wanted to protect my world. And so I didn't do anything for a time. I passed the bar, and I then did like a little bit of per diem legal work. Like I kept my toe in
Right.
the law community. And then I just was home, and I wasn't happy as a stay-at-home mother with my kids. I lived for my children, but I wasn't, I was like watching TV or just eating too much. And it wasn't the kind of thing that I was making use of my time. I wasn't a PTA mom. I wasn't like crafting with my kids. I just wasn't, I hated that stuff. And so when the opportunity came for me to work, and at the time it was to work for my dad as his personal assistant, it was like this whole thing. I jumped at the opportunity, and I was like the greatest personal assistant ever in the history of personal assistants, because I was a lawyer and I was doing,
I believe that.
I was honestly like amazing. And then that's when I ended up meeting my first radio partner, my co-host Alexis, and she invited me to do a show with her. And that's how I got into media. And then from there, I did that for years. And
Yeah, you had a long run
Yeah, I've done
with
a lot of
that.
stuff. Yeah.
You had a long run with her.
I was with Alexis for 5.5 years, I guess. And then I went on to do my own show. And within there was a bunch of TV stuff, and we wrote a book, and
Like,
then
and
I
all these
launched Bunny
lines
Eyes.
of things, right?
Yeah, I just do a lot of stuff. Someone else just said that to me. It was my plastic surgeon said to me the other day, because I was telling him how I wrote a piece for Oprah Daily that's going to come out soon about the facelift. And he was like, and then, I had sent him the video showing when I was on QVC 3 months ago, in March maybe. And then when I did it recently, how different my face looks, and thanks to him. And he was like, wait, these are your glasses? Like, how do you have time? How, I don't understand. Like, he was so thrown off. Like, when do I have time to do this? But just do it.
What? So you were on QVC for the bunny eyes?
Yeah, I go, yeah, they call and I go.
Amazing. And you have the perfect personality for that. I don't. I would just be like too dead or something for that kind
You
of.
wouldn't be too dead. You're funny.
I mean, I
You're
guess if it was something that I was so passionate about, I can get passionate and excited, but that's like few and far between.
Yeah, but your charisma is sort of your
Um,
deadpan
thank you.
affect. Like that's part of your brand.
Right.
That's, you
And
know,
I'm also not trying to like sell
no.
anything. It's. So how do you think like the radio podcast industry, like how do you think that's changed over the years? Because you've been in this business a long time.
Yeah. It's changed dramatically. Nothing happens the way it once did. I mean, now everybody has their own show,
Yeah.
whether it's a podcast, a YouTube channel, a social media platform, whatever it is. Everybody has as much exposure as they choose to have. You can put anything out there. I think what's changed is that we have to be self-starters, everybody. Though I guess essentially we were like Alexis was doing it and then asked me to do it. Wasn't like we were just sort of put there. But it used to be people would audition for things, get an agent, be kind of put either radio, television, wherever. And now it's really been flipped on its head because of the internet. So anybody puts themselves out there and then you hope that you get noticed, I
You have
think. And
one
so
viral video and you have a career.
it's not exactly that, but
But
it can be that.
yeah. Well,
And
that's like
and then you have
a
to,
very small minority of people, but
yeah,
yeah, it's like now you're putting yourself out there and then somebody finds you.
right.
Yeah.
You have to put yourself out there. I think that's the biggest difference and people say to me all the time, I want to launch a podcast. I want to do this. I should be doing that. My coworker and I are so funny. We need to have a podcast. And I'm like, then make a podcast.
Right. And then do
I,
it. Right.
okay. It's a
That's,
great,
it's
I'll
like,
listen. Like
yeah,
you have to just do it. It's not, and then people are like, oh, I'm going to make a lot of money doing it. I'm like, you're not going to make any money doing
no.
it, but like, definitely do it. This is not a money grab.
It's like when I was doing stand-up comedy, like you don't make money. I mean, eventually you do, but
Sure.
these people aren't, that's not why you do
You
it.
do
You
it
do
because
it
you have
because you
something to
love it.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you want to connect
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that. It's whatever makes you go to bed more easily at night.
It
I
is
mean,
hard. Like
yeah.
I've always done things on my own because I don't really know why. And I wish I had someone, I talked about starting with a guy and we didn't get along in the end, but it is so hard to be
It
your own
is.
boss every single day and
Yeah.
say like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then you're waiting and then you're like, well, how do I do that? And like, you just do it.
Yeah.
But it's
It's hard.
hard being self-motivated.
Executing. Yeah. We all have ideas. It's just the follow through is really challenging.
Right. And then
But I
I'm
think
like,
for everyone.
okay, so don't do it. Nobody cares either way.
Right.
Like, and I was like, well, what if no, what if it doesn't work out? I'm like, who cares?
Doesn't
So
matter.
you
Doesn't
did
matter.
it, you tried, but these are things that would have stopped me when I was younger and I would have instead done nothing. So,
Yeah.
there were times where I was like, should I go back to school? And, I thought about going to law school. I don't think I would ever make it through. I don't have the stamina mentally to like in school. And
I don't know about that, but go
I
on.
just don't anymore. And I never liked school in the first place. So I don't know
Yeah.
why I thought I'd want to go back. But, time passes whether you do something or not. When
It's
people
true.
say like, oh, I'm too old to go to law school, I'm 50. It's like, okay, so at 53, you're still going to hopefully be here. And so you could have done nothing for those 3 years, or maybe now you could be a lawyer.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that is so profound and so true. And that's why there's no wrong time to start something because you're here.
Yeah.
And if it's like you miss 100% of the chances you don't take.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I now at the time going to law school, I didn't want to go. I'm so happy I went, and I love being a lawyer. And this is like my mother's dream for me. Like I can't believe I'm living my mother's fucking life. Like all she wanted was for me to be thin and be a lawyer, practicing as a lawyer.
Oh.
And wear a suit. Now I wear a fucking suit. I'm thin and I practice law. Like she, wherever she is probably so happy.
So oh.
Yeah.
But
she'd be upset that I was having all the marriage stuff, but she'd be very happy with everything else.
But are you happy with it? Like you must feel so good about that.
I'm having the best time. I love it. I love helping people. I'm thrilled. I'm excited every day that I have something to do. And yeah, it's valuable for me.
When did you go back to practicing?
So about a year and a half ago, I decided I was going to get back into practicing law. And I started by taking a mediation course in family law and divorce law. Mm-hmm. And and I met with a friend of mine. Actually, the firm that I'm with. I met with them a year and a half ago first. And I wasn't ready to really dive in and do it then. But I was ready enough that I went and did this mediation course, and I was sort of like, maybe I'll just be a mediator and I'll do this that way. And I hated it. I hated that as a mediator, I wouldn't be able to advocate for one person, that I'd have to be neutral. It's less about giving advice and more about guiding the parties to get to their own conclusion. And the kind of people that I work with really need handholding in the best way and just want to get through this with minimal pain. Right. But I want to be able to help the person that I'm there to help. It's much harder to sort of stay in the middle and help two sides at once. That wasn't how I was really meant to do this. So
you're lucky now. You're lucky that you did this when you were young and that you can go back to it now. And that's what your parents were.
And I also kept myself up the whole time. I always kept my license in good standing. I do little things along the way. I did closings. I did a little personal injury. Like I always did stuff along the way, but it wasn't until the past year that I really got back into fully doing it. And it's the most fun and it's really interesting. And I have wonderful clients who I'm happy that I get to be there for them.
You're lucky. And, at this point in life to be able to have something to do that you enjoy. And I think your kids are out of the house. So what made you want to go back? What made you decide to go back to practicing?
So I wanted to do the kind of law that I'm doing because I had some keen insight in being sort of in trouble in my own marriage. The field interests me a lot. And I have a different kind of compassion and understanding because of what I've been through. And I just get it. And I also really do believe that marriages that last and marriages that don't, there aren't that many differences, honestly, between the ones that make it and the ones that don't in the end.
And you're saying that people have the same issues, they just stay together.
Yeah, or they don't stay together. I mean, I think that relationships are hard. They're just hard. Yeah. And
I think all relationships are hard. Family, friends, they're
all relationships are hard, right? And the dissolution of a marriage, regardless of reason, does involve a lot of pain. And I am acutely aware of that. And I want to be there as a support and as an ear and as a guide and to try to make the process less painful.
You're so wonderful. Such a good person.
That's just but it's true. I mean,
no, it's amazing.
And it's all, my philosophy is if you can avoid going to court, you avoid going to court. It's always better to settle. And I try to explain that you have to look at the big picture of what's going on instead of fighting over, I don't know.
A toaster?
Yeah. I mean, because what are you going to spend legal fees on a $200?
Yeah. Because people are so angry, I think. I interviewed a divorce attorney. We talked a lot about that. People are just spiteful and angry. And if you have children involved, it's just horrible.
There's no need for that. I mean, I get it. I really understand anger. Yeah. But if you can diffuse it and you can understand where it's coming from, spending more money on a lawyer and going to court and wasting all that energy and wasting all that time isn't going to make you feel better, make you feel worse.
My ex-fiance, he was married to the woman that wrote the First Wives Club.
Oh, wow.
Remember that? And she passed away, but she did horrible things. She showed up to the house with a truck in their Hampton house and emptied the house when he wasn't there. And he walked away. He's like, living well is the best revenge. She's like, I don't care.
And that's exactly right. Look, there are divorce lawyers who will make way more money than I do because I'm not going to litigate something just because it's going to get me legal fees. It's just, I think that makes you a dick. And I'll do whatever my client needs me to do. And I will get my client what matters to my client, but I'm not going to mislead them. It's just
to take that money.
I don't like it. Yeah, I just don't. It's not how I'm made. So
I saw a TikTok that you posted that was really funny. You said you can get divorced, you don't have to kill your spouse.
Yes,
that is brilliant, and apparently, unfortunately, needs to be said out loud.
Yeah, because we keep seeing these cases where husbands kill the wives kill the husbands. And I'm just like you could have left.
I think
you just could have left. And I'm not talking about domestic violence. And that's not what I'm talking about. Recently the dentist who poisoned his wife over the span of like 3 weeks, and then of course got caught, and because he killed her. Just leave.
I
That's
I mean, I think about that too, and I'm sure that we don't know everyone's situation. I'm sure there are so many reasons that divorce would be difficult, but and
yes.
finance and like, oh, I'm just like you
I
have
am
to
not
go
diminishing. Hold on.
right,
Yes, domestic
exactly.
violence. Someone's really in a bind, but even then, there's always an alternative to killing.
Oh, of course. Also, most of these people don't get away with it. You
Right.
get caught. You mean you're not that
Then you're in
smart.
jail. Yeah.
Right. Then if you have kids, then you have one dead parent, one in jail, and
Right.
traumatized kids.
Right.
And it's
I.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, I assume, I don't know if people don't think this through or they just think they're not going to get caught or it's just like,
It's both. I mean, there's the hubris and the people who think I'll never get caught, but then also there's the obviously if it's an impulsive heat of the moment kind of
right,
killing. That's a different. I'm talking about the premeditated. The way, like if I just get rid of them, I'll have
right.
this great life. It's not very well thought out. There's no just getting rid of somebody.
I mean,
Hmm.
I was engaged when I was 30
Hmm.
and I had other opportunities to get married and I knew it wasn't right. And I guess there's pros and cons to that. And I never was the person that wanted to get married. I want to be happy and I want to be with someone. That's great. That's amazing and that's great. But I just thought, because my parents are divorced, so I'm sure
Okay.
that has to do with it. And growing up when we did in the 80s, so many of my friends' parents were divorced.
Yeah.
And I guess I got this message like, yeah, this doesn't really work. And it was very negative for me. And I want to be with someone, but I don't really feel the need to sign a paper to get the
Hmm.
government involved.
Sure.
And, listen, life happens. We all have our path, and
Think there's one I don't think there's one right way to do things
there's
for
not.
anybody. I think families are created in all kinds of ways, and I believe in marriage. I believe in
I would
it.
do it. It's
But
just
I
a
also
prenup at
don't
this
think
point.
you have to do it.
Right.
Prenups are important. Prenups are great.
I had an ex-boyfriend. I was like, oh, let's get married. He's like, well, we wouldn't be able to get married for 6 months. I'm like, why? He's like, because that's how long it would take me to read your prenup. I was dying
Probably. You were like, maybe, but
for sure.
it's
Um,
okay.
Definitely dodged a bullet for
They're
that
smart to
one.
have. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been divorced a couple of times. So it's all good, like for sure. There's no way. I
Also,
mean,
you'll
I don't see,
find that now at our age, a lot of women, there are a lot of marriages that go belly up, it seems, later in life.
yeah.
It's called gray divorce. And so it's not that uncommon. So I'm sure there are a lot of women around you who are also unattached. So be it.
Well, this has been really fun and informative. And I don't know, to me, you've accomplished so much, you've achieved so much, and you're very
Oh,
inspirational. I love your
thanks.
honesty. You're so sweet. Is there
Thanks.
anything else you want to accomplish that you're still, I mean, you still have
Mhm.
the eyeglass, you have everything still going on and it's doing
Yeah,
so
I do
well.
my podcast with my sister on Saturdays. I mean, my favorite thing right now is practicing law. Anybody needs, if you're in New York and you need a family law attorney, hit me up. I do free consultations. And I love what I'm doing. I'm in a good place. I don't have
Good.
yeah, there's nothing else. I'm just good. Thank
And
you for
your
having me.
no, this was fun. And your Instagram is Jenny Hutt.
My Instagram is just Jenny Hutt and my TikTok is Jenny Hutt.
And thank you for being patient while my dog barked.
I love your dog. Your dog is so cute.
Now
I
he's
mean,
sleeping.
he's
Um,
adorable.
Thanks for being on, Jenny.
Thank you for having me.